Okay, so what is said, 60% of the employees are men and 75% of the men earn more than 30,000 per year. If 55% of employees earn more than 30,000, what fraction of women earns less than 30? So, yahan pe, if you would have noticed, all the employees are given to you in terms of percentage. So, here we can basically start with what? Let's say my total employees are 100 because everything is given to me in terms of percentage. This is what I can start with. So, what are the total number of men that you can conclude?
60.
So I can say my total number of men are 60 and total number of women will be thus 40. Now I am told that 75% of the men earn more than 30. So out of 60, what would be 75% of 60? I don't think it should take that much time. 75% would be what fraction?
3 by 4.
So
So
3/4 of 60?
45.
Correct. So 45 men will earn more than 30,000, which means 50 men will earn less than equal to 30,000. Do we understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Similarly with women. Now I don't know the fraction of women, but I know one thing, that 55% of total employees earn more than 30,000. Now my total employees are 100. 55% will be 55, which means total 55 employees will earn more than 30,000. Do we understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
So if total 55 employees are earning more than 30 and 45 men are earning more than 30, which means how many women will be earning more than 30?
10.
10 women will be earning more than 30, and which is why how many women will be earning less than 30?
30.
Perfect. Now, what is asked to me? Let's see that. What is asked to me is, what fraction of the women earn less than or equal to 30? So, the total women are 40 and the women earning less than or equal to 30 is 30. So, what is the fraction they are talking about? What fraction that are they telling to look at?
1 by 4.
30 out of 40. No, darling. They are talking about a fraction of women who are earning less than 30. The women earning less than 30 are 30 women out of 40 women. So the fraction they are talking about is 3 by 4. So my answer here would be none of these.
Ma'am, could you explain once again? Just
Where did you get stuck? Tell me.
so once we figure out that there are 10 women who earn more than 30,000,
Hmm.
then
Total women are 40, no?
yes, ma'am.
So remaining 30
So
women,
remaining 30 will be the ones who earn less.
less
Okay,
or
got it,
equal.
ma'am.
Got it?
Got it. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. Should I move ahead? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So going through the question, it says a bus is traveling at 80 kilometers per hour, and when it travels at 80, it uses 40% of more diesel. Now, what is the information given to me already? That when the bus travels at 60 kilometers per hour, it can travel 22.4 kilometers on 1 liter of petrol. Correct? All right. Now you tell me, if I want to travel the same distance at 80 kilometers per hour, what would be the amount of petrol that I will use? If I want to travel the same distance, okay, at 80 kilometers per hour, what will be the amount of petrol that will be, sorry, amount of diesel that will be used? What does the first statement say? Whenever I travel at 80 kilometers, I generally use 40% more diesel. Did we understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
same distance, if I'm traveling at 60 kilometers per hour, I'm using 1 liter. But for the same distance, if I travel at 80 kilometers per hour, I'm going to use 40% more, which means 1.4 liters. Do we understand this important step?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what is the question asked? How far can the bus travel on 10 liters of diesel at a speed of 80 kilometers per hour? So, if my speed is still 80 and instead of 1.4 liter, I have 10 liters of diesel, what is the distance that I can travel? Okay, so with these two sets of information, can you do cross multiplication? 1.4 liter is
Yes, ma'am.
22.4 kilometers. So 10 liter is how many kilometers? So if I do cross multiplication, what will I get? 10 into 22.4 upon 1.4. Because the decimals are same in the numerator and the denominator, I can ignore my decimal part. We can start cancelling. 7 twos are 14. 7 threes are 21, 7 twos are 14, 2 ones are 2 sixteens are. What will be your answer?
Ma'am, 7 threes are 21, right? But it's 22 in the question.
Beta 7 threes are 21, so 1 is the
Sorry, sorry,
remaining.
sorry. Ah,
So
yes,
you,
got it, ma'am.
yeah.
Sorry.
Did we understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Uh, you will have to excuse me for my writing because writing with the keyboard is not really very comfortable. So my handwriting, I'm just trying to do my best. If you are not able
No
to
worries.
understand anything, just let me know. Okay. All right. Moving to the next question then. Okay, fourth question. I hope everybody has that with you. Ram scored 48% marks in a test and he failed by 14 marks. Had he scored 51% marks in the same test, he would have passed by 7 marks. Now, if I have to look at this question is very basic. I can easily form two equations and I can solve, and that could be done, right? But there is a very easy way to solve such type of questions. Let's try to understand this. What is the first statement given to me? Ram scored 48% marks in a test and he failed by 14 marks. Let's say this is my passing marks, just visually. So in the first test, he scored 14 marks lesser than passing marks, and overall he scored 48% of the total marks, right? What is the second case given to you? In the second case, he scored 7 marks more than the passing marks, and the marks actually scored by him was 51%. Now let's try to understand this visually. If I'm scoring in one test, I'm scoring 48% of the total marks, and in another case, I'm scoring 51% of the total marks. Can you say that the actual difference between the marks in both the exams will be 3% of the total marks?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And actual difference in terms of marks. In the first case, Ram scored 14 less. In the second case, Ram scored 7 more. So can I say that the actual numerical difference between the marks would be 21 marks?
Yes, ma'am.
So 3% of the total is equivalent to 21 marks, which means 100% of the total will be equivalent to how many marks? Because I need my maximum marks. Okay. Total is nothing but my maximum marks. So if 3% is 21, 100% would be
700.
700. Right? In this, you can always just see that 3 into 7 is 21. So here also it should be 100 into 7, which will give you 700. Now, what is asked to me? Am I asked the total marks?
No, the passing
No,
marks.
I am asked the passing marks. So to find the passing marks, I can take any one of these situations. Let's say I'm taking this situation. So let me make Ram score 51% marks first, right? So what would be 51% of 700? How would you calculate 51% of 700? How would you calculate?
50% and 1%.
Correct. So 50% is 350 and 1% would be
7.
7. So Ram would have scored 357 marks in this situation. And by scoring that, he scored 7 marks more than the passing marks. So can you tell me what will be the passing marks?
350.
Perfect. Let's get to the next question then. Fifth question. In an election, 10% of the voters on the voter list did not cast their votes, and 60 voters cast their ballot papers blank. There were only two candidates. The winner was supported by 47% of all the voters in the list. Okay, so let's get to this. Let's say total voters in the list I'm denoting by T. Now, what are the bifurcations given to you? So, what is the first thing? 10% of this T did not vote only. So, I'm going to make a tree which shows all my bifurcations. These 10% did not vote. Are we clear with this? Are you
Okay.
with me? Okay. Then I am told that 60 voters casted their ballot papers blank, which means 60 voters did come to vote, but they did not vote for any of these. 10% did not come only, and 60 voters were such who did not give vote to any of these. Okay. The winner was supported by 47% of all the voters in the list. So, out of the total voters in the list, I know that 47% of the people voted for the winner. Do we understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 60 people, they voted blank. So, can you tell me how many people would have voted for the loser? Can I say my total will always be 100%?
Yes, ma'am.
So now tell me what should come here.
So the 90% of the voters who voted, out of that, the losers are like who voted for the loser is 53% out of the 90%.
This 53% will be out of total only, but it will not be 53. Why? See, again, I'm coming back to it. What is said in my second statement? The winner was supported by 47% of all voters in the list. It is not about 47% of the people who voted. Do you understand? The base is the total voters. It is not the people who just voted. Can you
Okay.
think? Acha, do you think this is practically possible? Winner getting 47% and loser getting 53%? Is that
No,
logically possible?
no.
No. So 47% is of the total. So again, this will not be 53%. If you see, total is 100%. If you total up it over here, I already have 10% and 47% here, which means 57% is taken out. So out of 100, if 57 is taken out, how much is left with?
43%.
43%. And you also see that there is an extra 60 over here. Do you see that? I cannot ignore that. So I'm going to do minus 60 people. Take a minute and understand this tree. If you understand this tree, the question is done.
Ma'am, so why are we minusing the 60?
My
Percent?
total people cannot, I'm not minusing 60%. I'm minusing 60 as a
60.
number because
Okay.
I've considered 60 people who are voting blank. People who are
Yes.
voting blank cannot be the people who voted for either winner or loser. So my
Okay,
total
ma'am.
still has to be 100%. No, it can't change.
Yes.
That's why.
Got it.
Okay. So now what is given to me? The winner got 308 votes more than his rival, which means the difference between the votes obtained by winner and loser is 308. Are we understanding this? So now, can we directly take the difference? What are the total number of votes of winner? 47% of total minus what are the total number of votes of loser?
43.
43% of total minus 60 is equal to 308. Are we clear? So can you calculate this and tell me the total number of people in the list? Just take all the whole numbers on one side. How will you calculate this? 47% of T minus 43% of T is nothing but 4% of T. And 308, 60 goes that side. So when I open it up, it is plus over here. It goes that side and it becomes 308 minus 60. Do we understand this, girls?
Yes, ma'am.
So यहाँ पे this is going to be 248. Correct? Now when I cancel out with 4 on both the sides, it's going to be 62. So what will be your total? 6,200. Are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am. Got it.
Okay. All right. Come on. Let's move on to the sixth question. Okay. Now this question is slightly tricky. So I want your attention here. In the general election involving two parties, the number of votes polled against Bahumukhi party increased by 25% over the previous election. So first of all, यहाँ पे there's a situation where I have a Bahumukhi party and I have a others party. I don't know the other party name. And they are talking about two different election. One is the past election, I mean last year's election, and one is the present election. Okay, I'm going to make a simple table. If you would have observed, after reading every question, what I do is I try to consolidate all the data in front of me, right, rather in the form of a table or in the form of a tree. Always try to do that. Don't keep the question then and there. You have to first consolidate everything, only then you will start processing it and then it will click you what to start from. ठीक है? Okay. Now what is the information given to you? Number of votes polled against Bahumukhi party, yani number of votes given to the other party increased by 25%. So let's say if other party got X votes in the previous election, it would have got how many votes in the present election? So if something increases by 25%, it becomes
1/4.
1/4 is 25%, but this is increasing by 25%. So if something increases by 1/4, it becomes
5/4.
correct. Did you understand your mistake?
Yes, ma'am.
This is a very common mistake. Not only you, a lot of people will write 1/4. When will I write 1/4? When the votes are 25% of X. They are not 25%, they are increasing by 25%. Okay, be careful about this. All right. And it lost by a margin twice as large as by what it had won the previous election, which means in this Bahumukhi party lost, and in this Bahumukhi party had won. Okay, and it lost twice by a margin. Yani the losing votes were twice of the winning margin. The losing margin was twice of the winning margin. This is what is told to me. What do I mean by margin? How do you calculate margin? Let's say one of you got 100 votes and one of you got 120 votes. So by how much margin did the first person lose?
20?
Perfect. No, so margin is nothing but the difference between the votes. Right? Okay. All right. And I am told that a total of 2,60,000 people voted every time, which means in the first election, if the other party got X votes, Bahumukhi party would have got 2,60,000 minus X votes. Do you agree with this?
Yes, ma'am.
And here also, the Bahumukhi party would have got 2,60,000 minus 5/4 of X. Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what is the losing margin? Can you tell me what will be, how will you calculate the losing margin? Losing margin is in the second election, right? So the winning
Yes, ma'am.
candidate minus the losing candidate. Correct me if I am wrong. This is the losing margin. Losing margin is twice the winning margin. So what will be the winning margin? The winning candidate minus the losing candidate. Are we clear with this equation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in this case, I will of course have to solve this equation, find the value of x. What is asked to me? How many people voted for the Bahumukhi party in the previous election? Which means I am asked the value of 2,60,000 minus x. If you find the value of x, can you find 2,60,000 minus x also?
Yes,
Yes?
ma'am.
Okay. So can I leave this question at this step over here for you to complete the calculation at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, complete the calculation at home. In case you're not able to get it, we'll do it next time, but try. It is just now, you just have to solve the equation, nothing else. Okay. Now, let me show you one more shortcut for this. Now, concentrate on the question. What is asked? How many people voted for Bahumukhi party in the previous election? Now, what happened in the past election with the Bahumukhi party? Did it win or did it lose?
Lost.
In the past election, it won, no? They are talking about the first election, previous general election. Did the Bahumukhi party win or lose in that election?
It won, ma'am.
It
One.
won, which means it has to definitely get more votes than the other party. Do you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now total votes, I know it's always 2,60,000. So let's go by the options. All right. So if Bahumukhi party would have got 1,10,000, the other party would have got 1,50,000. Is it possible?
No, ma'am.
Because then it will not win, right? So that is not possible. Second option, if Bahumukhi party got 1,50,000, other party got 1,10,000. Is this possible? It is possible, correct? Are you getting what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to look at my options. First option is not possible. Second option is possible. Do you see this? What is the third option? If Bahumukhi party got 1,40,000, the other party will be getting how much? 1,20,000.
120.
That is also possible.
Yes.
Fourth option, 1,20,000 and 1,40,000. That is not possible. Fifth option, 1,30,000, 1,30,000. Not possible. Did you understand what I did? So my three options are already eliminated. Now what would I do? I have two possible options. I will simply put one of these options in my table and see it satisfies the table or not. How would I do it? I might just, let's say, start with 1,40,000. So if this is 1,40,000, my X will become 1,20,000. Then I'll get this value also. I'll get this value also, which means I'll get value for all the four boxes of the table. And then I'll verify whether my losing margin is double the winning margin or not. Are you getting it?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want me to do this for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
So in this table, let's say if I take 1,40,000 as my option, which means 1,40,000 will be the votes of the Bahumukhi party in the previous election. So what will be the others' votes? Come on, you have to now at least say the numbers with me. Others' votes will be?
1,20,000.
Now what is happening to the others' votes in the next election? It increases by 25%. What would be 25% of 1,20,000?
30,000.
If I add 30,000, it becomes 1,50,000.
50,000.
I hope you are able to connect with the table. If this is 1,50,000, this will be
10,000.
Correct. So what is the losing margin? Losing margin is 40,000. Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the winning margin?
20.
Is losing margin twice the winning margin?
Yes, ma'am.
So 1,40,000 is your correct answer. Then you don't need to make that equation and solve and anything. There are a lot of questions where you can smartly use options like this. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's say you started by trying 1,50,000 because there were two possible options, no? So let's say you started with 1,50,000. So when you do this and you fill up the table, this condition might not satisfy. So what will you do then? Will you again try with 1,40,000?
Then we are only left with one option, that is the
Correct.
correct.
So you will just have to try one option. You should not be trying both the options. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Moving ahead. Come on, let's go to the next question. Seventh one. In a group of people, 28% of the members are young while the rest are old. Again, this is a very simple question. Whenever I see such bifurcation, my best way to go about it is forming a tree. And I can see that everything is given to me in terms of percentage. I cannot see any whole number. So whenever everything is given to you in terms of percentage, it is always safe that you assume your total to be 100 or a multiple of 100. Fair?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's say my total is 100. Now what is told to me? 28% are young. So 28 people are young. So how many people will be old? Come on. Quick.
72.
72 people will be old. And I am told that 65% members are literates. So again, this is also out of 100 only. But a second bifurcation where 65 people are literate. So how many people will be illiterate? Quick, come on.
35.
So 35 will be illiterate. Now what is told to me? 25% of the literates are young. So now it's time to combine. Out of literates, 25%. 25% is one fourth. So what is one fourth of 65? I know it is not a whole number because we have assumed 100. So it is okay if you don't get a whole number. Just tell me what is one fourth of 65.
16.25.
Okay. So if 16.25 people are young, can I say the remaining people will be old?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how many people will be old? 65 minus 16.25. So if I say point,
48.75.
again, I would again try to tell you one thing. If I see the last word in the question, it says nearest to. Do you notice that?
Yes, ma'am.
Which means they are looking out for an approximate answer. If they're looking out for an approximate answer, let us try to keep our calculations also approximate. What I'm doing is instead of writing 16.25, I'm considering 16. Is that okay?
Yes,
Approximate.
ma'am.
So it just eases off our calculations. So 65 minus 16 would be
49.
good. So 49 people are old. Now what is told to me? Percentage of old people among the illiterates. I know that totally 72 people are old, out of which 49 old people are literate. So how many old people will be illiterate? 72 minus 49,
Yes, ma'am.
which is
23.
okay. So what is asked to me? Percentage of old people among the literates. Yani percentage of 23 among 35. So how do you calculate that? 23 out of 35 in the percentage format. Do we understand this? So 5 sevens are, 5 20s are. So it is what? 460 upon 7. What will be the value?
65.7.
65.7. So what should be my closest option?
66.
66. So in such questions, always form a tree. Moving ahead, in a tournament, eighth question, a team has played 40 matches so far and they have won 30% of them. Again, this is also very simple. Let's try to consolidate the data. Now you will keep on telling me. So out of 40 matches that team played, team won 30%. What is 30% of 40? What is 10% of 40?
4.
So what will be 30%?
12.
Very good. That's how I want you to calculate. Okay. So I win 12 matches, which means I lost 28 matches. Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If they win 60% of the remaining matches, their overall win percentage will be 50%. Now, I don't know what are the remaining matches. I'm just going to write R. I don't know the number of remaining matches, but out of this, I want the team to win 60% and thus lose 40%. Are we clear with this? And they say that if this happened, the total winning percentage would be 50%. So how can we form the equation for this? Can you tell me how can we form the equation?
So the total of 12 matches and 60% of the matches has to be 50%.
Correct. So how will you write that in terms of equation? So 12 plus 60% of R. Can I write 60% as 3/5?
Yes, ma'am.
Because 20% is 1/5. So 60% can be 3/5. So can I say 12 plus 3/5 of R is nothing but half of the total matches? What will be the total matches?
Okay, 40 plus R.
Correct. So can you
Yes,
solve
ma'am.
this and tell me the value of R quickly?
80.
80. Okay, that's correct. Now what is asked? Are we asked the remaining matches? What?
The total number of matches 1. So the
Correct.
50%.
Correct. 50% of?
120.
So my answer would be,
60.
that is not in the option. Suppose they win 90%. Oh, okay. Our R is correct only. Our R is not a problem, but we did not read the previous line. What did they say? Suppose they win 90% of the remaining matches, then what will be the total number of matches won? So, out of 80, if they win 90%, what is 90% of 80? What is 10% of 80?
8.
8. So 90% will be 9 into 8, which is,
72.
so if they win 72 matches from here and 12 matches from the previous set, what are the total number of matches won? 84. Did we
84.
understand our mistake?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's just change
Yes.
one condition. Okay. All right. Okay. Going to the next question. 9. A box has 450 balls, either of which is each of which is either white or black. And there are metallic white balls are same in the number as metallic black balls. Okay. So what does the question say? Out of 450 walks, there are some balls which are white and some balls which are black. But the metallic white balls and the metallic black balls are equal in number. Do we understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 40% of the white balls and 50% of the black balls are metallic. Now, 40% of white, which means 2/5 of white balls and 50% of black, yani half of black balls are metallic, and I know that both of them are equal. Do you understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
So, can I say white upon black is equal to 5 by 4? Okay.
Yes.
So I can say that white balls are 5x and black balls are 4x and my total balls are 450. So can you tell me what will be the number of white and black balls?
White is 250.
Very good. So white balls will be 250 and black balls will be 200. Yes? Now what is asked to me? The number of non-metallic balls in the box. We know the number of metallic balls. What is the number of metallic balls? For 2/5 of 2 for 50. What is 2/5 of 250? 100.
100.
And what will be half of 200? 100.
100.
So I know that 200 balls are metallic. So how many balls will be non-metallic?
250.
250. So if you would have observed, this question does not have options. So it's a theta question where you will be given a text box to enter your answer. Moving to the 10th question. In the final examination, Vishnu scored 52%, Asha scored 64%, and Vishnu obtained 23 less and Asha 34 more than Ramesh's marks. Okay, this is very, very similar to the question we did before, where we talked about the total marks and the passing marks. Do we remember that? So here Vishnu scored 52%, Asha scored 64%, and what, so instead of comparing their marks to passing marks, here the comparison point is Ramesh. Do you understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Vishnu scored 23 marks less than Ramesh. And Asha scored 34 marks more than Ramesh. Are we clear with this table, this chart?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, which means between Vishnu and Asha, the exact difference of marks will be 57 marks. And in terms of percentage, if Vishnu scored 52% of total and Asha scored 64% of total, the difference between their marks would be 12% of total.
Ma'am, how did we get 12%? Like, I did
52
not
and
understand.
64. So if let's say one of you got 52% in the exam and the other one got 64% in the exam, which means difference between you two is 12% of the total examination marks,
Okay, okay.
and that is equal to 57 marks. Did we understand how? Why did I equate it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now what is asked to me? I'm going to stop here and see that marks obtained by Geeta, who scored 84%, which means 84% of total is what? So if 12% is 57, 84% is what? Can we calculate this?
Yes, ma'am. Cross
If,
multiplication.
or you can do cross multiplication, or you can also do this way. If 12 sevens are 84, even this should be into 7. Correct?
Okay.
You will get your answer as
399.
perfect. Moving to the next question then. 11th question. Fresh grapes contain 80% of water by weight, while dried grapes contain 20% of water by weight. Now, this is again a very, very, very important and a simple type of a question, but very frequently asked. So, pay attention. They are talking about two things: fresh grapes and dry grapes. There are two different things. Now, what is the composition of fresh grapes? Fresh grapes contain 80% water, which means remaining 20% should be pulp. Are we okay with
Yes,
this?
ma'am.
Okay. Now, what is the composition of dry grapes? Dry grapes contain 20% water, which means remaining 80% should be pulp. Okay. Now I am told what is the weight of dry grapes available from 40 kg of fresh grapes. Okay. Now here is a little bit of a common sense question. First, I want to ask you, how do you convert a fresh grape into a dry grape? How?
Letting it dry,
Letting it
like
dry.
keeping it for a long
Very
time.
good. So when you dry a grape, what happens?
The water content reduces.
Perfect. Does the pulp content change?
No.
No.
No. So water content changes, but the pulp content will never change. So in the fresh grape and the dry grape, the pulp content will be equal. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
So 20% of 40. What is 20% of 40?
8,
So 10,
20%.
20% will be 8. So 8 is equal to 80% of the weight of dry grapes. Do you agree with this?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you do this and you do your cancellations, your dry grapes weight is nothing but 10 kg. Moving to the next question. The total of male and female populations in a city increased by 25% from 1970 to 1980. Okay. They're talking about 1970, talking about 1980, and they're talking about total population, which increased by 25%. So let's say if this is X, this will become, do we agree with this? During the
Yes, ma'am.
same period, the total male population increased by 40% and the female population increased by 20%. Okay. The increase in male population and the increase in female population should be equal to the increase in total population. Do you agree with this? Your increase in male plus your increase in female should be equal to the increase in total. Do you agree with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what
Yes,
is
ma'am.
the increase in male? 40%. 40% in terms of fraction. 2 by 5. What is the increase in female? 20%. How do you write 20% in terms of
1
fraction?
by 5.
Right. 2 by 5 of male plus 1 by 5 of female is equal to the increase in total is 25%. How do you write 25%?
5
1
by
by
4.
4.
1 by 4 of male plus female. Here, why am I not writing 5 by 4? Because I am just comparing the increased part.
Okay, got it, ma'am.
Okay. So now you have this equation. Just get all the male terms on one side and female terms on one side. And can you tell me what is the ratio of male to female that you are getting?
3:1.
3 is to 1. That is male to female or female to male?
Male to female. 3 by 20 and 1 by 20.
Okay. So male to female will come as 1 is to 3. That's why I'm asking. You want me to solve this?
So 3 by 20 is male. So we do 3 by 20.
Wait. You are getting 3 by 20 of M
Yes.
is equal to 1 by 20 of F.
Ma'am, so it's like 3m equal 3m by 20 is equal to minus 1 by 20f.
Okay.
That's what. So if you do this, which means 3M is equal to F, right? So your M by F will be 1 by 3. Do you understand? Your rearrangement of terms is incorrect,
Yes, ma'am. Got it.
right? Which means if number of males are X, number of females would be 3X. Agreed? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to erase this part which I wrote earlier because now I've got a ratio of males and females. Okay. So for males and females, can I say if males are X, females would be 3X? And that is why my total will be 4X. Do you understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let us see what is happening. my total is increasing by 25%. 25% of 4x is x. So if I increase it by x, it becomes 5x over here. Males increase by 40%. So 40% is nothing but 2/5 of x. यहाँ पे I increased x. यहाँ पे I have to increase 2/5 of x. So what is x plus 2/5 of x? It will be 7/5 of x. See, if you don't use your fractions and your percentages, it will take a lot of time. That is why I always insist fractions are important. Okay. In females, it is increasing by 20%. So 1/5 of 3x. What will you get?
3 by 5. 1.
So 3 by 5 plus 3x is 18 by 5 of x. Do you understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is what we got till 1980. Now what are they saying about 1990? From 80 to 90, the female population has increased by 25%. Yani this population has increased by 25%, which means it has become into 5 by 4. When I increase something by 25%, it becomes into 5 by 4. Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Which is 9 by 2 of x. Okay. And in 1990, the female population is twice the male population. Which means if 9x by 2 is double the male population should be 9x by 4. Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Then what is the percentage increase in the total of male population and female population overall? So I know that if male is 9x by 4 and female is 9x by 2, my total population in 1990 would be what? I'll take my LCM as 4. 9 2s are 18. 18 plus 9. It is nothing but 27x by 4. So you are asked the percentage increase from 4x to 27x by 4. Do we get this?
Yes, ma'am.
So how do I find percentage increase between two numbers? We did this last time. How
Taking
do
the
you?
difference and then the base year into
Okay,
100.
correct. So the difference would be 27x by 4 minus 4x. So if you take the LCM, your difference will be 11x by 4. Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Your base is 4x into 100. So if this 4 comes down, it becomes 11 upon 16. 11 upon 16 into 100. This is what you are left with. You by 4 if you want. Do that and tell me the answer for this 1100 upon 16. What is the answer you are getting?
68.75.
Very good. 68.75 would be correct. Did we understand this? This is little bit tricky and little lengthier solution, but at least if we understand this today, next time we see this type of a question, we'll know how to approach.
Ma'am, can you explain this last part once again? The 1990 year.
Okay. So in 1990, I am already told that for females, the increase is 25%.
Yes, so 5 by 4. Yeah, got
Correct.
that.
Now the number of males is half than females, or females is double is what is given to me. So which
Okay.
is why if females is 9x by 2, males have to be 9x by 4.
Yes.
So my total is 27x by 4.
Ah, yes, got it, ma'am. So then after that,
You are
we
asked the
can
percentage increase. So difference upon base into 100.
200. Yeah, okay, got it.
Okay. Next, 13th question. Very, very easy question. You should definitely attempt such questions if given. The only thing here is I should know how to nicely use my fractions. Okay. In an examination, score of A was 10% less than B. So if something is 10% less, how do you write it?
Negative
9 by
9 by 10. 10% is 1/10. So if something is 1/10 less, the multiplier becomes 9 by 10. Do we understand this?
10. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then what is told about B? B is 25% more than C. How do I write that?
5 by 4.
Of C.
C.
Okay. Then what is said? C is 20% less than D. How do I write that?
4 by 5.
Very good. Understood? Okay. Now what is told? A scored 72. So if A scored 72, can you tell me what B will score? मिला कि नहीं B? Did you get B as 80?
80.
Okay. So if B scored 80, what will C score?
64.
And if C scores 64, what will D score?
80.
And that is what is asked. Understood?
Okay.
Moving to the next question. 14th question. If all the sides of a cuboid increase by 4%, the volume would increase by how much? Now, first of all, can you tell me how do I calculate volume of a cuboid?
Length into breadth into height.
Very good. Length into breadth into height is equal to volume. Now, I am told that everything is increasing by 4%. So, what is the effective change in the volume? Any idea how can we go about this?
So there is some rule, I don't know for this one only, but like if the side increases by this much percent, then the total volume or something increases by the same percentage.
Won't work because everything is increasing, so it has to have a cumulative effect. The way I wrote this, can you connect it to anything that we did in the last class?
Successive percentage.
Very good. So, because these three things are working together, I can apply the concept of successive percentage. Now, because these percentages 444 does not give me very good fraction. Fraction for 4% is 1 by 25, which is not very friendly. So I should ideally use formula method to go over this. What was the formula method for successive percentage?
A plus B plus AB by 100.
So first I'll apply the formula on this, right? A plus B plus AB by 100. So what will be the answer that I get over here? 8.1.
8.16.
Very good. Now I'm going to apply the formula again on these two. So what will I get? 8.16 plus 4 plus 4 into 8.16 will give me 32.64 upon 100. Okay, so first let's total this up. 12.16 plus 32.64 upon 100. If I cross multiply, it's 1216. 1216 plus 32 will give me 1248
1248.6.
0.64 upon 100. So my answer should be from the options, which option should satisfy this?
12.49.
12.49%. That would be correct. Did we get this?
So, ma'am, yesterday in DI, we learned another formula, which was 1 plus A into 1 plus B into 1 plus C is equal to 1 plus F.
Correct.
So, can we apply that formula here since we have a restriction of using just 2 percentages at a time in the formula?
You can. That is a multiplier method that we have learned. You can, but because, so what will happen in this case is, ideally you should do that only if the percentages are friendly. Now, because it is 4%, when you try to apply that formula, it becomes 1 plus 1 by 25 into 1 plus 1 by 25 into 1 plus 1 by 25 is equal to 1 plus total. So this fractions will give you 26 by 25, 26 by 25 and all, which is again very lengthy to calculate.
Okay.
That is why this method.
Okay.
Moving ahead. Okay. 15th question. The length of a rectangle is increased by 20%. What is the change in the breadth if the area increases by 10%? So first of all, how do I connect length, breadth and area?
Length into breadth is the area.
Very good. Now what is happening to length? It is increasing by 20%. So if something increases by 20%, it becomes.
6 by 5.
Do you remember the offset method we did yesterday?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know what happens to breadth, but what is happening to area?
Increase by 10%.
So how would I write that?
11 by 10.
Very good. Okay, so I'm going to write right now breadth as x. So if I calculate this, what is the value of x I am getting? I'm getting my x as 11 by 12. So first of all, seeing 11 by 12 as the fraction, what can you say? The breadth has increased or decreased?
Decreased.
Decreased. Definitely decreased. Decreased by how much fraction?
1 minus 11 by 12.
Which is 1 by 12. And 1 by 12 is what percentage from our list? From the list, 1 by 12 is what percentage? We did yesterday, 1 by 12 is nothing but 8.33 percentage. You directly need to mark your your first option as your answer. Next, due to reduction in the price of mangoes by 30%, a customer can buy 15 more mangoes for the same amount. Find the original number of mangoes he used to buy. Again, similar concept of offsetting method that we did yesterday, where price into quantity is equal to expense. Now, what is happening to the price? The price is reducing by 30%. So, what will be the multiplier? Originally, it is 111. What is the multiplier if the price reduces by 30%? What would be the fraction of 30%?
3 by 10.
Very good. So if something reduces by
0.3.
3 by 10, it becomes?
Okay.
Minus 3 by 10. No. How do you calculate the multiplier? 1 plus or minus the fraction. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now they have said that the expense does not change. Right? So if the expense does not change, what happens to the quantity? Quantity should offset the change in the price. Does everybody understand this? Because expense still remains 1. So to offset the price, the quantity has to become 10 by 7. So the quantity from 1 has become 10 by 7. So what is the increase in the quantity? Can anybody tell that?
10 by 7 minus 1.
Which would be very
So
good.
3 by 7.
Very good. So the quantity has increased by 3 by 7. And this 3 by 7 is equivalent to 15 mangoes that he bought extra. Do you understand that? Because I have been told that I am able to buy 15 mangoes more. So the increase in quantity has to be equivalent to the increase in the number of mangoes. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
So if 3 by 7 is 15, you are asked the original number of mangoes, which is 1. So 1 is what? Can you cross multiply and get the answer? This is the answer that you get.
35.
35 is correct. Again, an important type of a question. Let's move to the 17th question. Again, same type of a question, slightly advanced because of the numbers, but the same type. Due to 21% increase in the price of sugar, a person can buy 10.5 kg less. Same as previous case, but here the price has increased instead of reducing. Okay. 21% increase in the price. Now, 21% is not something that we are aware of in fraction terms. So, I'll keep it 21% as it is. So, if something increases by 21%, 1 plus 21 by 100, it becomes 121 by 100. Do you understand this as a multiplier?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the person is able to buy 10.5 kg sugar less for 1600. So my expense is 1600 in both the cases. My expense has not changed. Okay. So clearly, if price is becoming 121 by 100 of P, the quantity to offset price has to become 100 by 121 of original Q. Do you understand this? Only then the expense will remain same. Otherwise, expense will change.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so clearly quantity has reduced. My question is, it has reduced by how much? So Q minus 100 by 121 of Q. What do you get the difference as?
21 by 121.
Very good. 21 by 121 of Q. And what is this difference equal to in terms of number of sugar? I mean, quantity of sugar?
10.5.
Very good. If I want to write 10.5, if I remove the decimal, it can be written as 105 by 10. So this is 21 fives. This is 5 twos. So what is my original quantity coming down to? 121 by 2. Do you understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Now I know that price into quantity is equal to my expense. 21 upon 121. I'm just trying to figure out that why are we getting such complex numbers? We should get little easier, no? 21, 5. All the cancellations look fair. Okay. Okay. Or what you can do is I can just kind of convert this to 60.5 also if I want. I mean, it's not going to change a lot. What is asked to me is find the increased price of sugar. Okay. Always remember one thing, whenever you see such complex fractions, no, Do not try to simplify them in between, because by the end, they might just get directly cancelled. What you are asked is increased price, which is 121 by 100 of P. I know that P into 121 by 2 is 1600, which means P is equal to 1600 into 2 upon 121. See, I'm not simplifying this. I am asked 121 by 100p. So if I try to multiply this value with 121 by 100, my life gets really easy. So my increased price is nothing but 16 into 2, which is 32 rupees per kg. Do we understand this? So ideally, don't do this. Okay, moving to the next question. 18th question. Again, a very, very good application of multipliers. A price of a bicycle is increased by 9.09%. Okay, 9.09% means what fraction?
1 by 11.
And if something increases by 1 by 11, it becomes
12 by 11.
So my price has become 12 by 11 of P. Do you understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Then it further increases by 8.33%. 8.33% is what fraction?
1 by 12.
And if something increases by 1 by 12, the multiplier becomes?
10 by 12.
Then it again increases by 7.7%. Now 7.7%, I can take it as 7.69%. So 7.69% was what fraction?
1 by 13.
And if something increases by 1 by 13, it becomes?
10 by 13.
And after all these three increases, the price becomes 1274. See how easy it is because we know the fractions? Yes? If you didn't know the fractions,
Yes, ma'am.
this would have been a hell to solve. 7 twos are 7 ones are 7, 7 eights are 56, 7 twos are 14, 2 into 91. So basically price is 91 into 11. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good. All right. And now we are going to go to the last question for today. And that is where I would your common sense. If we apply common sense, this question does not need us to even write anything. Let's understand this. At the end of year 2014, the poultry man bought 9 dozen cocks. Just so that we understand, I'm writing it over here. So 2014, he bought 9 dozen cocks. Now what he does, every year, he adds M% at the beginning of the year and sells N% at the end of the year. तो हर साल वो क्या करता है? He adds M% and he sells N%. Okay. And where both the percentages are of course positive. If poultry man had 9 dozen cocks at the end of year 2018 also, which of the following is true? Okay. Now let's try to be in the place of this poultry man. मैंने अगर आज मेरा स्टॉक 9 डजन है और 4 साल बाद भी मेरा स्टॉक 9 डजन है, हाउ इज दिस पॉसिबल? Or why would this have been possible?
Ma'am, because maybe the percentage added and sold extra is the same, like plus m% and minus n% is the same. So it comes back
Percentage
to,
is not the same, the number is same.
yeah, sorry, the number is the same. So we come back to 9 dozen.
Correct. Absolutely correct, which means the number of cogs added and the number of cogs subtracted is the same. Okay. Which means whatever m% I'm adding to the initial part is equal to the n% that I am removing from the final part. Do you agree with this?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is happening every year. Okay. यहाँ तक clear है? All right. Now tell me about this initial number and the final number. Initially 9 dozen tha, then I'm adding something to it. So, and after adding, I'm applying n% on that value to remove. So, out of this initial and the final value, are these both values same or are they different? And if they are different, which one is greater?
They are different, and the final one will be greater.
Correct. So if the final one is greater and initial one is smaller, okay. So now m% on a smaller value and n% on a bigger value to be equal, what should be the relationship between m and n?
M is greater than N.
That's it.
Okay.
Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
When the base is small, the percentage to be applied has to be greater if I want to equate it to the other percentage where the base is bigger. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
All right. Then I think that is all for today.